it's always good to share kind of where we are currently with the program, kind of the work that we've put in through, really, at the end of practice today, we talked about Saturday will be a product of our work that started back in November. I know there's some freshman parents on currently. So the new members of our roster, certainly we're excited to see how they make an impact. But we've been at this now, not for just preseason, but dating back to, really the middle of November. We've really kind of focused on addressing and assessing team culture, moving forward in a way that, creates discipline, detail, and belief in what we're capable of doing. And I think we've really grown as a program through the course of the winter, the spring, and then having the ability to bring 30 new freshmen in and, see how they've grown over the course of the past 3 weeks has been really exciting. Alex Sullivan is with us, who was a captain, who was an incoming freshman during COVID. So again, he's been around it and understands, the way that we need to operate. And I think he's done a great job integrating our young guys and our new guys into the program, as well as Presley Egbers, who will be a senior captain, really a redshirt senior this year, has 2 years of eligibility. But we're just excited, to continue to work on ourselves as a program, live up to the expectations of the guys that wore the red before us. Obviously, we transitioned that into Forks Up, but we still say wearing the red. I think they are to some degree synonymous. But we're excited to get out there and, have a competitive day on Saturday and put a stamp on what we feel hopefully is a great start to a new season. I think moving through preseason, we're going to be really young at offensive line, which we anticipated coming into preseason. I think we'll probably be about as big as we've ever been. But certainly guys are young, and with youth come mistakes. And I think Presley and the veterans at the skill position on offense have really taken a major step forward. Guys like Princeton Douglas, Bryce Peterson back for a 5th year, Vincent Springer will anchor the offensive line as a rising junior, along with Eric Trickinger, who will be a rising junior as well. So we're going to lean on some of those veteran guys on the offensive side of the ball at the skill position, and then certainly with Presley at quarterback. Defensively, a little bit on the opposite side, we're going to be really veteran. Guys like Alex have been starting since their freshman year of COVID. So they grew up really, really fast. Alex and Keon, 2 freshmen that started in the secondary for us. James Vasili will be a junior that will start for us in the secondary, along with Justin Rocha. So really looking at a bunch of guys that have played a lot of football at a really early age. And we're going to lean on their experience and guys like Neville Kruger at defensive end, John Prochniak at linebacker. So, a much more veteran group from the defensive standpoint. And I think we saw a culmination of our work against Lev Val this past Thursday. I thought we had a really good showing on both sides of the ball. We had explosive plays on offense in the run game and the pass game. And I thought we played really well defensively, particularly in the first half with the starters. And then the young guys, took over in the second half. And I thought we saw a lot more of the same, certainly from a defensive standpoint. Some of the young QBs struggled a little bit, but also made some plays. So just looking forward to continue to see us grow as a team, identify the challenges ahead of us, attack them head on, be detailed with our work, have great belief in who we are and what we do, and continue to become a great team.
Perfect. Thanks, Coach. So I know that some of your players have also joined us. So I'd love to have the 2 of them introduce themselves. Maybe I think you said what year they are, where they're from, what they're studying in school, and maybe something a little more fun, what their favorite memory from preseason was. So guys, if you're on, can you guys introduce yourselves?
Yes, ma'am. Hi guys, how you doing? My name is Presley Egbers. I play quarterback here. I'm from the Washington, D.C. area in Northern Virginia. I'm an economics major here at Dickinson. My favorite preseason memory, we went to the Carlisle Swim Club the entire day. I had a big belly flop competition with all the offensive linemen, so that was a lot of fun. to be able to see and to be able to participate. So that was a great time from preseason.
Hey guys, how you doing? My name's Alex Solon. I'm the defensive captain. I'm going to be a senior this year. I have another year of eligibility next year, though. My favorite memory from preseason is definitely picking Presley off in the red zone, taking it to the house. I know he doesn't like that one. But I'm studying INVM, and I'm from Baltimore, Maryland.
Perfect. Thanks so much, guys. So now I kind of wanted to open it up to all of you who are on the call. Questions, kind of comments, cheers for these guys as they start their season in a couple of days. Just really want to give you guys an opportunity to ask coach questions, ask the guys questions. What's it like to be on the team now? Since I know we have so many different generations of Dickinson football with us tonight. So I'll kind of leave it open if anybody kind of wants to kick us off.
I have two questions for Alex. Alex, what position as a defensive player, what position are you playing?
I play free safety.
Okay, good. I was a strong safety back then, and I'm curious. You mentioned you have a 5th year of eligibility. It's something that I had never really considered until just a few years back, but it's been on my mind for a while, and I'm curious to get your reaction. I lost most of my junior year due to a severe back injury, but ended up playing again my senior year, and it never occurred to me to apply for another year of eligibility. And I certainly wish it might have occurred. I don't know if I'd have been eligible. The injury occurred in the second game of the season, so I missed most of that junior year. Did you have an injury, or how are you going to pursue that 5th year of eligibility?
So I came in the fall of 2020, which was online because of COVID. So they gave all of the freshmen, or pretty much anyone who missed a playing year that year, another year if they want it. So with the way my course schedule is going to work out, like I'm going to be on track to play next year as well as graduate in the spring or in the winter of that year. So
Gotcha.
yeah, no injury or anything, hopefully. But yeah, that I have that due to the COVID year.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Alex, I have a question for you. What high school in Baltimore?
I went to St. Paul School in Lutherville.
Already know it well. I'm from Baltimore. Went to Gilman. We got ripped
Okay.
our butt my senior year. It's the biggest tragedy of our cohort at that point.
Uh-huh.
Now, if I ever moved back to Baltimore, I'd send my kid to St. Paul's and not Gilman anymore.
Yeah. I might say the opposite about now.
St. Paul's got
Yeah,
to go. Anyway,
we played Gilman my senior year just in a scrimmage, and we beat them by a touchdown, I think. But they had a really good program going up into the past few years with the coach who went to St. Francis.
yeah, familiar with that.
Just in the way of a clarification for Slobo, we played in a game together, and he took a hit and actually broke his back, and he was in a body cast for what, 2 months or something like that, or more. Anyway, he fortunately we had a friend who had a waist that was large enough to accommodate the cast, and so he borrowed a pair of pants for a few months so that he could wear that while he was recuperating. And fortunately, everything turned out fine. But just for clarification's sake.
Yeah.
I can also just kind of preview just kind of the upcoming game with RPI. I know, Jim, you kind of asked a little bit earlier about what is the outlook for RPI. And again, looking back at last year and kind of what RPI has been for a number of years, is they've been a team that's won with defense. If you look at their scores from last year, all 10 games were decided by 7 points or less, including ours. They won 14-7 at their place. So again, we're expecting another close game. As I said before, they do lose a lot defensively. They lose 3 All-Americans, 2 on the defensive front, 1 in the secondary. Both starting linebackers will not return. So looking at about having 8 new starters defensively from a team that's been in the top 10 in defense nationally for the past 3 years. So, obviously interesting that scheme certainly won't change, but personnel will. So how do they handle some younger guys, into new roles next year will be interesting. Offensively, they do return their quarterback. They return 3 offensive linemen, their tailback, their starting tight end, and 1 of their starting receivers. So a little bit more veteran on the offensive side of the ball. But again, they're a team that's going to rely on winning with defense. They don't score a ton of points. So again, obviously in those types of games, we have to win the special teams battle. And we got to capitalize on opportunities when they present. I do feel that from a game plan standpoint, we certainly have some explosive plays, I think, on paper. That's something that we have to make sure we execute on Saturday. But I do think Coach Knapp and Coach Shuck have put together a really good plan as it relates to how to attack their system and their scheme. So excited to see that on Saturday. And then I think, from a defensive standpoint, we really model it after each other. We're not going to blitz a ton. They don't blitz a ton. We're going to play a lot of base defense. We're going to, not make mistakes. We're going to be physical. So again, looking for another, close, physical game that potentially comes down to the fourth quarter. And I think obviously, what we've done through the course of the last calendar year, I think we've worked a lot on just that culture of belief, that culture of detail, that culture of discipline that I think ultimately pays off when games are close and when you face a little bit of adversity. So we're definitely prepared for that.
You mentioned special teams. How's our kicking game look this year?
It's been good. We have Justin Werbel and Kieran O'Neill as a transfer kicker that was down at Ave Maria in Florida. He's a Calvert Hall guy, so another MIAA player. Kieran will handle kickoffs for us. Justin will handle field goals. If we get outside the 25, Kieran would probably be our field goal guy. Matt Mayona will handle punting duties.
We were out there on Sunday.
He was the guy that handled that for us last year. John Prochniak will be the long snapper. But we do have Ethan Ferguson, who's an incoming freshman from North Cross, Virginia. That ultimately, I think, passes John as a long snapper. So again, he's still a little bit green, but has done really well through the course of preseason. Snap for us against Leadville. So I think from a special team standpoint, Coach Glennon and all the special teams dogs are ready to go.
Good.
I got a question for Coach and probably Presley. Offensively, Coach, this season, what can we look forward to as far as scheme? Is it run pass option? What are you guys running and how are you going to be dynamic this season?
I think that we're dynamic with skill. I think Princeton is a super dynamic player. He's going to play in the slot. He's going to play outside. He's going to play tailback. So we're going to use him in a lot of different ways. We're going to do the same thing with Deontay. Deontay will play tailback. He's going to play in the slot. So I think we have a ton of position versatility. The RPO game, it's kind of been minimized, I think, across college football a little bit. I think, Presley can speak for himself, but, he has a big arm. I think shot plays downfield, some play action, some 7-man pro stuff, in putting our athletes in a position to catch some deep balls is certainly in the game call sheet right now. But everybody to some degree is a variation of spread. And, we go through practice and, we're running scout cards. And it's ultimately defensive terminology versus offensive terminology. And, we draw boot flood and the scout team calls it Reebok sail. So there are same concepts and similar concepts across the board. It comes down to, I think, the ability to execute, minimize mistakes. We've said we have to be a team that makes routine plays routinely. And I think if we do that, they become explosive because of the talent that we have.
Yeah, to piggyback off Coach Fordyce, I think Coach Knapp and Coach Shuck do a great job of putting a great game plan together and really implementing a really easy offense to be able to pick up for anybody. I transferred here and I was able to pick it up pretty easy coming in my first semester. It's a year and a half ago in the spring. So it's really easy. And Coach Knapp does a great job of, like Coach Fordyce said, getting all the players the ball, and the versatility that we have on our offense is awesome. I don't want to sound cliche, but a little bit of everything is something you could expect from us. We have a lot of athletes, big offensive line up front. So looking forward to a great year on offense, and the defense is going to have our back every year, like usual.
Yeah, I do think, we'll grow into more so in the run game of what we are. Again, starting 3 freshmen on the offensive line, and how do we best utilize their skill set. But Chuck will play right tackle. He's 6'6", 335. Alexander Pellicle will be the left guard. He's 6'5", 295. And Eric Trickinger is a returner that's 6'4", 320. Caden Charles will be the small guy. He's about 6'2", 265. And then Vincent Sprenger will be a 3-year starter who's about 6'2", 280. So again, what are those guys best at? Do we become a little bit more of a gap scheme team because we're big? Do we become more of an inside zone team because we can combo and move people? Or do we stick with last year, we're more of an outside zone team? So I think growing a little bit with the offensive line and trying to simplify things for those guys is really important as it relates to front mechanics and how we're setting protections and, doing those things, which is guys that haven't played a lot of college football. They've played left valve for a half. So I think growing with those guys will be the most important thing from an offensive standpoint.
Well, I want to wish you both all the luck in the world. We'll be there for you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Coach, I have a question, and so this spring you all started using the catapult system, right? That it was this, yeah. We rolled it out this spring. Can you maybe touch on that a little bit, how it's impacted, your program and your approach to practice and practice plans? And then guys, I'd love to hear your perspective on that too.
So Scott Cohen, gave us a generous donation for us to utilize some sports science stuff, and looking at talking with the Baltimore Ravens just about kind of, I think the perception has always been when it started with basketball, it's load management, and let's limit what people do. And the Ravens and kind of our approach has been more like load consistency, like, can we develop load consistency week to week, and what is the threshold that we need to maintain? And then the ability to track. And we talk with our guys, like, you have to practice the way you're going to play. So again, evaluating top end speed, and Princeton's I think a 21 mile an hour player, and we can identify, like, did Princeton hit 21 miles an hour during the course of the weekend practice? Number one, if he didn't, is there potential overuse injury, and how does his body feel? But then the other thing is, like, if you're not practicing full speed, how can you expect to do that on Saturday? So we'll look at top end speed and say, we're going to be able to hit about 100-yard volume at your top end speed per week. And those are things that we'll track. What is your total volume? In a typical practice, the guys are running about 3 miles. So assessing just overall load, and then, what work zone are they in? You run 3 miles, but you're in work zone 4 most of the time, which is a jog from this period to that period. We do have 2 data analytics interns that we'll meet with tomorrow through Emily Marshall and the data analytics program. And they'll be able to extract and take the raw data and just run some other reports for us, do some more specific things from a positional standpoint. So it's been really interesting. I do think it's probably a year-long process for us to really say, hey, this is exactly how we have to use it. But certainly it's great to have, and it's been enjoyable to kind of learn and figure things out, and certainly track information that you typically haven't been able to do in the past. You try to rely on your gut instincts, and now you can validate that by looking at data.
Yeah, for the players using it, it's pretty cool. Alex can attest more because he runs a little bit more than me in practice. I just sit back and throw the ball, but we have a Catapult app on our phones that all the players have, that just like the coaches can see our progress, we can see our progress on our own as well, to see how fast we're running, how long we're running, and how far we're going. So I think it's been great. A lot of the guys in the locker room love it. It's been a really great help for all the guys to be able to understand their bodies a little bit better.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like, it's cool. I think what I like about it the most is seeing how much I ran during practice and how much exercise I actually got in. For my position, there's not many times where I'm in a full straight line sprint unless I'm getting beat in a post or something like that. So a lot of the information sprint wise doesn't register for me. But definitely seeing how much power I'm incorporating, or just seeing how far I'm running. I definitely enjoy looking at that.
Yeah, and just things that it tracks, work volume, total distance, top end speed, acceleration, deceleration. And again, just with some of the top end speed stuff, is just kind of looking at trends and saying, why are we not at top end speed? And incorporating that with the trainers through rehab. I said, okay, we're at 75% today, and there's some real data that backs up that information now. So I think it also is really good for the trainers to be able to utilize it.
Coach, what's the focus or the emphasis on hitting? I mean, I know that there's pluses and minuses. Obviously, you don't want to hurt your own people, but you also need to evaluate the people in their roles. But how does that mix work in with the way that you're doing the preseason?
We didn't go live once in preseason. I think the game from a practice standpoint needs to be physical. You have to strain to finish. But the objective is to keep guys off the ground, to minimize injuries and those things. So again, the offensive line, defensive line will always live in a more physical, different world. We'll run a couple of different tempos. If we're in a thud period, we anticipate and expect that all tackles stay above the waist, that we strike square, we keep our face up, but we secure tackles. If we're in a tag tempo situation, guys will just tag off on the hip of the ball carrier. So 7-on-7 becomes tag. But all perimeter game from a blocking standpoint is still going to be full speed reps. We just try to minimize guys being on the ground.
Yeah, I get it. As you know, I'm a townie, and I come by pretty regularly when y'all are practicing that, and didn't see a lot of full full uniform stuff going on. So I was just curious about that. In the old days, it was a little bit different, but that's not saying that was any better, obviously.
Yeah, the old days were definitely different when we went 3 times a day, and 2 of them were in full pads and 1 was in uppers. So yeah, these guys have no idea.
Yeah, it's better they have no idea.
Yeah, they couldn't handle it.
We didn't know how good we had it.
Exactly. But that is, I think it's the way of college football now. It's data, sports science, and the catapult stuff does track high impact collisions and those things. You set it to a specific G-force. So, again, I certainly think player safety is a major priority in all of college football, and I think you see coaches practicing in a way that puts it at the forefront of how they're going to function and operate on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
So I have another question for the guys, and I've asked this in all the sessions with all of the teams that we've had these for up until this point. Who's got it coming this year? Who are you looking at the schedule and you're just like, God, I can't wait to play them this year?
For me, it's definitely McDaniel. Obviously I want to play F&M under the lights. That's going to be awesome. But we did not play well against McDaniel last year, and they won in a very frustrating way. So I can't wait to go there and blow them out on their homecoming.
That was fast. That was lightning quick. You knew that answer before I even finished my question. I love that.
I think for me, probably, I think this weekend, in all honesty, week 1 at home, it really sets the stage for the season. It either shoots us up, gets us ready to go on the right trajectory, or we take a step back. I've been preaching it all week to the guys. This is, in my opinion, the top 2 biggest game of the year for us, this and F&M. To be able to have all the work pay off in the off season, all the early mornings, all the late nights, all the summer workouts. We work really 50 weeks out of the year, 2 weeks off after the season. Other than that, 50 weeks out of the year, we put towards just 10 games. So, but to be able to start off the right way, I think is huge for our team and our guys. So I'm looking forward to this weekend.
And it sounds like you're going to have an experienced offense on their end against an experienced defense on our end, which is always a good measuring stick for how the rest of the season is going to progress.
Definitely. We're excited about that. And, I think Alex can attest. I think we're playing with a lot of confidence defensively. Keep it simple, play hard, right?
Oh yeah, we all trust each other very much. We'll be returning 10 out of 11 starters, and our new starting middle linebacker John is one of my best friends, and like got a lot of trust in him. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what we can do this year.
Now I'll ask the same question of the rest of the guys. As a fan, who are you most looking forward to watching us play this year?
I'll speak up. I think one of the unique things about college football and small college football at highly selective schools are the rivalry games, the hardware games. And those are the ones you talk about for the next 40, 50 years of your life. You always remember those scores. So, in my 4 years of college, we never lost to Gettysburg. That's a thing that we talk about all the time. And obviously, I'm coming to the F&M game because I'm still bitter about my senior year. We played them on homecoming at our place, obviously, and had to hand them the wagon. That's not a thing that anyone wants to do once you step foot in Carlisle, you don't want those guys to have that thing. So that's, I think, for us, one of those big ones. And then you talk about McDaniel, and that's, I'm a class 99, and they just started getting good then. And so we had some real knockdown dragouts, and some of them really weren't that close because they were that much better. So anytime you can beat those guys is always a good thing. So.
Well, back in our year, we didn't play a lot of the teams that you folks have been playing for a few years, but one of the teams that always stood out in my memory was F&M. They always had a good team. They were always tough, and we had some good wins against them and some unfortunate losses. But it was a game on the calendar that I always personally looked forward to playing because it was a game that was really important to us. It was midway through our season. We started off, Dave can attest to this, all 4 years we started off very strong. A number of years we had some major injuries and finished the year poorly, but F&M was always a midpoint game in the season that we kind of targeted and wanted to perform well.
I'm looking forward to Friday Night Football.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It's been a while, so
yeah, that's true.
When I was here, I played 86 to 89, graduated in 90, just for the players' benefit. We had previously lost to Gettysburg so many times that my sophomore year we went down to Musselman Field and beat them. That they didn't even know where the bucket was because they had it for so long. they didn't have it at the field because there was no belief that there's any way Dickinson could win. And they didn't beat us again the remainder of my college years. And we held on to that bucket for a long time. So, that's the bucket and the wagon are two things that are really hard to get. But once you get them, you don't ever want to give it up. And just a little added incentive this year against F&M, they've got an offensive coordinator who's I would consider a little bit of, I don't know if you want to call him a spy or what, but he's got some connection to the athletic director. So nothing would be better than to see him go home with his tail between his legs this year, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We know all about that too well. He was a defensive back coach. It was very frustrating for him to tell us that information, but we plan on getting him back.
I hear he's not getting any Christmas presents.
Of course not.
Oh goodness. Well, I am super excited. I remember when I was first coming to Dickinson, somebody said, "Oh, so have you heard about the wagon and the bucket?" And I was like, "Where am I going to work?" So I've definitely developed an appreciation for these really heated rivalry games. I'm really excited to watch them this year and be a part of it. And I hope you all will come be a part of it on the 29th. You should have all received some information about that. We invite all of our alumni, come up, watch the game in the Durden Center. If you've never seen it, it's actually the 10-year anniversary of the Durden Center. So one of the things I absolutely brag about at Dickinson is our facilities and where these student athletes get to call home. So if you've never seen the Durden, or if you've never kind of been inside and seen the locker rooms, please just shoot me an email. I'll be happy to give you a tour and show you around. So it's a really, really great testament to everybody on this call being a supporter from when you played. Lon, I saw you raised your hand. You don't have to raise your hand. How you doing? It's good to see you.
I'm good.
Giovanni.
It's great to see everybody here. Kevin, good to see you. One thing, I came in late and I apologize, but I think you guys have got another thing to play for this year. And that's because my coach passed away this year. And Gobi may not have been the winning coach, but he was a great coach, and he nurtured a lot of football players. So if you would do me a favor, I'd like you to win like 10 for Gobi.
It's a great idea, Lon. I love it.
Rayanne, question for you, because we've had this conversation before. If I ask you what the boot is, do you know what it is?
Okay, I was not supposed to get quizzed at this. That was not what I signed up for. Oh God.
The boot is when we win the Centennial Conference.
Gosh darn it. Yeah, I think you told me that. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I knew that. Well, that's coming home this year too. So like I said, information on the 29th. Please come out and join us, cheer on the guys this season. Does anybody else have any questions? Coach, you want to say anything before we maybe call it a night?
No, just appreciate people being on the call. Again, it's always good to talk Dickinson football. I think it's great opportunity for our guys to kind of share a little bit about themselves. I know we do a lot of stuff with the alums. We appreciate your support in everything that you do for us. And again, we tell our guys all the time, it's, we represent this team this year, but we also represent all the guys that played before us. And we are certainly aware that there will be a lot of guys that will come after us. So it's great to see everybody come together. Excited to hopefully see people on campus for the F&M game. That is a special, unique game. Larry talking about the Gettysburg game and how there was such a lack of respect at that time. I think they've had it probably 8 total times in the past 30 years. So I think we've done our part on that. The F&M game certainly has swung back and forth a lot more. Having that's exchanged hands, 2 times in our time here. So that's when we're certainly looking to rectify here at home on a Friday night.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone so much for joining us tonight. One of the best ways and one of the easiest ways to support the program is to just stay connected to it. Follow the guys on social media at Dickinson Football on Instagram. That's where they can find you. Yep. At Dickinson Football on Instagram. Follow the schedule, live stream the games if you can't make it in person, and really just stay plugged into the program. If you do have any questions and want to get more involved with the program, I know Coach Fordyce does a lot of career programming. So if you ever want to get more involved in a volunteer capacity, please don't hesitate to reach out to my office. I'm happy to plug in to any of those opportunities that are available to the alumni out there. But once again, thank you all so much for giving us a part of your Thursday night. This is something we hope to do on a continuing basis. But I really, really, really look forward to seeing some of you in the stands at a game with me this season. So thank you all so much for joining us tonight. And I will see you all soon.